When building an e-commerce site, it's important to have the ability to search for products so that the customer can quickly find what they're looking for. Elasticsearch is a powerful search engine that provides a way to perform queries, filtering, and sorting of documents efficiently. In this video, we'll take a look at an example project that integrates Elasticsearch with Crystallize, and how it can be used and extended to provide refined search results for the Crystallize catalog. The example project that we'll be using in this video is the Crystallize Elasticsearch JavaScript example, but there's also an implementation in Go if you prefer that instead. The links for both of these projects can be found in the description of the video. The example JavaScript project exposes a GraphQL server through which we can make queries to Elasticsearch to search for products and filter results, and also example tasks of how we can index the catalog of the Crystallize tenant. In order to get started, we first need to clone the example project into our workspace. And we can do that on the repositories page by clicking on Clone or Download, copying the URL, and then opening up our terminal and running git clone the URL. This will clone it into our local directory. And then we can change directory into Crystallize Elasticsearch example.js. And here we need to install the necessary dependencies for our Node.js application, and you can use either npm install or yarn, depending on which you prefer. So once the dependencies are installed, we need to set up our Elasticsearch instance that will provide us with a search engine that we can index our data into. And you can either do this by creating an instance locally with Docker and Docker Compose using the Docker Compose file provided in this example project, for which you'll need to have Docker installed. Or you can use something like Elastic Cloud, which is a hosted Elasticsearch instance that you can create really easily online, and it'll give you the URL and a username and password that you can use to access that Elasticsearch instance and connect to this project. But in this example, I'll be using the local Docker instance. In order to set up our Elasticsearch instance, we can go ahead and simply run from within our project directory docker-compose space up space -d for detached. And this will go ahead and create 3 Elasticsearch instances that form a basic sort of cluster, and it will expose one of them to us in an endpoint that we can use as the node that we'll connect to index our Crystallize catalog and search through the catalog as well. This will take some time to start up. And once Elastic is up and running, we can go ahead and head to a web browser and go to localhost :9200. And here we'll see basically a status of our Elastic cluster and our Elastic instance that we're connecting to. It'll give you the version number and a bunch of other information. But for us, it just tells us that it's up and running and we're good to go. So now what we need to do is we need to open up our project. I'm going to open it up in VS Code, open it up in your favorite editor, whatever that is. I'll zoom in a little bit. And here we want to create, or we want to add in the config for our Elasticsearch cluster that we're going to be connecting to. And so there's a file here called .env.example. And this we can go ahead and rename to just .env, which will be holding our environment variables while we test and develop this project. Now, for the Docker version of this, the instance that we've just created, we don't need to worry about a username and password that we'll be needing to access the Elasticsearch instance. If you've added in some sort of basic authentication to your Elastic instance otherwise, you will need to add in a username and password here to be able to connect to it and access it and index data to it. But for us, for this example, we've got no username, no password, so I can just delete these 2 variables here. I'll save that. Now we can go ahead and run our project. And to do this, we can simply open up our terminal again, and I'll run yarn dev, or you can use npm run dev if you prefer. And what this will do is it will start up a GraphQL server using Express, which is available at this URL here. This will give us a nice GraphQL playground that we can play around with. So I'm going to go ahead and go to localhost 4000/GraphQL. I'm just going to delete this query here. And so this is our GraphQL playground that we can use for testing queries and running tasks such as indexing our tenant. And so to do this, let's go ahead and open up the docs on the side just to start with. And this will show us the available queries and mutations that are available to us. So currently this is the product variants query for querying the product variants that we'll be indexing into Elasticsearch. Currently this will give us no results. I think it will even throw an error because we don't have a catalog index set up. But what we need to do first is run this bulk index mutation here. What the bulk index mutation will do is it will go ahead and index all of the products that we have in our Crystallize catalog within a catalog index in Elasticsearch. And it will do this as product variants because searching on a product variant level is a lot easier than searching on a product and trying to find relevant variant information from within the product, as we'll see later on. But for now, we want to run the bulk index mutation. So to do this, we can simply go ahead to the editor here and type in mutation. And here we're going to choose the bulk index mutation, and we're going to specify our tenant identifier. Now, in my case, and if you want to use this tenant as an example, this is our demo store, you can simply add in the teddy bear shop, or you can use your own tenant if you have one with products already. And we're going to choose the language as English. And now the response for this, there are 4 things that we'll get as a response. I'm going to look for success. This will tell us whether the operation was successful. Execution time, the time it took. Message, just the status message. If there's an error, that'll be an error status. And then we can go ahead, and I'm just going to hide the docs here. We can click on play. And what this will do is it will go and perform the bulk index mutation. And you can see here it's been successful. It took about 2 seconds. And it's indexed 28 items here into Elasticsearch, which is good. So now our store has been indexed within Elasticsearch at a product variant level, which means now we can begin searching on products and on variants. So now that our catalog has been indexed, we can start using the search query for searching through our product variants. And so to do this, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the mutation here because we've already indexed our products. We don't need that anymore. I'm going to go ahead and add in a query. And here I'm going to search for the product variants. And now within the product variant arguments, there's a few things that we can add in. So there's after, which is an offset, which you can use for basic pagination. You can use first to determine how many items you want to retrieve. For example, if you want a page size of 10, you'd say first 10, or the first 10 results. There's order by, which allows you to order by product name, price, and stock. And there's a filter, which we'll use in this example first. And then we can add in the filter there. I'm just going to add this to the next line. And for the filter, there's a few options we have here. So the most basic one is the search term. And as an example, I'm just going to search for kiwi. So I'm just going to choose the data that I want as the response. And just as a very basic example, I'm just going to pick the total count, which will tell us how many results match the search term kiwi. Now, here I've run the query. You can see that there are 4 results that match the search term kiwi. In the teddy bear shop, there's only one product called kiwi, but there are 4 variants of that kiwi. Now, we're getting all of these variants back, which may be what you want to do. For example, if you want to search by price on a per variant level, by stock on a per variant level, which the stock and price belong to, or the SKU, for example. This is good for that. But if you want to search for the name of the product, for example, and you only want to match the product and not every single variant, you can simply go ahead and add is default, set that to true. So this will give you back the search results that only match the default variant for a single product. And now you can see that the total count is 1. But also if you want to search for variants, for example, you have shoes with different sizes, you may want to search for different shoe sizes. We can change this filter to be attributes here, and then we can add an array. And for the kiwi variant, for the kiwi product, there are 2 attributes. There's accessory and there's size. Now I'm going to go ahead and add in the attribute that we want to search on, which is accessory. And the kiwi comes in 2 accessories, plain and bow tie. And I'm going to go ahead and add in the values. So I just want to search for the accessories where the kiwi is wearing a bow tie. And then I can search this, and you can see the total count here has been returned as 2. Now, let's try and actually get some actual data here, not just the total count. That's a bit dull. So to get the data for the variance, we can, underneath this, choose the product variance result. So this is the actual array of the variants that are being returned, not just the total count. And so within the product variance result, there are 2 objects that we can choose from. There's both the product, which is the product information, and the variant, which is the variant information. And so I'm going to go ahead and choose the variant. And here I'm just going to select the price, the name, and maybe the attributes, just for fun. Get the attribute and the value of that attribute as well. And then if I go ahead, I'll just get the product name too. So we can get the product name here, run this. And you can see here, we've got our 2 variants. We've got Kevin the Kiwi as 2 search results here with one is a bow tie, the variant name is bow tie, and the other one is large bow tie. You can see that the attributes here both have the accessory as bow tie, and one of them has size as regular, the other one has size as large. If we wanted, for example, to get all of the variants matching Kiwi, we could just get rid of the attributes altogether. And now you can see we get the accessories that also have no accessories as well. There's also more filtering we can do on the products as well. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of the attributes just to simplify this query a little bit. And get rid of the search term as well. Now let's say I want to search for products matching a certain price. For example, you have a search page on your website where you've got a range selector where you can choose the min max price that the customer wants to find. Then we can go ahead and add in the filter of price range. And this takes an input of price range filter, which is a min and max value. So let's say I want the minimum number to be 100 and the maximum number to be 200. Here you can see that now we're just getting all the products that match within this price range. There's only 1, surprisingly. If I change the max to 300, we'll get a lot more. And here you can see we get a lot of teddy bears and stuff as well, matching the other products throughout the store. Now, of course, you can use all these filters in conjunction with one another. You've got as default search term, price range attributes, and then there's include and exclude. So I'll just briefly go over what include and exclude do. So let's say I want the SKU of a variant. Let's say I want Johnny Bear Green. I'll just make a note of this here. So we can say we want to include, we just want to find the products where the SKU matches Johnny Bear Green, for example. And so if I open up the include filter here, then the auto-completing this gives me a number of things that I can search on. So I can search on by product IDs, I can search by variant IDs, I can search by paths, SKUs, and topic names. Now searching by these will give me results that match these values. So for example, if I want to search by SKUs, I can provide an array where I can say, hey, I want the product that matches, or the variant that matches Johnny Bear Green. I also want Johnny Bear Red, because I like red. And I also want Kevin Large Plain, which is back to our Kiwi. So we can search for these. I'll just get rid of the price range for now. And I'll also get rid of a lot of this other unnecessary information in the query. We just want to make sure that the SKUs being returned match what we're getting. And here you can see we're getting a total count of 3 as the result. And we've got our 3 results here, which are each matching these SKUs. Now again, the including and excluding of results is really handy for when you want to search just by single IDs or a range of IDs, search by topics to find related products, that sort of thing, or a whole number of other range of things that you might encounter as you go along developing your apps. Now I'll just show you an example of exclude as well. So if I provide no filter here, you can see we get 10 products. Let's say there's 28 products in the store. So let's say I want to get the first 100 products instead of 10. So I'll just get rid of this. I'll just show the total count for this. So here, running this, you see we get a total count of 28. Now let's say I want to exclude those 3 SKUs that we had before. So we'll go ahead and run exclude. Oops. And I'll run this. And you can see that the total count for our results here are 25. So we've successfully excluded anything that matches these SKUs. So again, this could be used, perhaps you want to filter out a topic, or you want to filter out some variant IDs, some paths, that sort of thing. It can be very handy to build up a more complex search query that can really refine the results that you're giving your customer and help them find the products that they want as fast and as concisely as possible. So this was a basic example of how you could easily integrate Elasticsearch with Crystallize to search for products. But what if we want to go ahead and extend the search functionality for something that's not already here that you need in your store? So as a basic example, I'm going to go ahead and add in a search field just for variant name. So currently in the filter, we have a field called search term, which searches on a number of fields. It searches on the product name, variant name, topic names, and a few other things, I think the path and the SKU as well. But let's say we just want to search on the variant name instead, or let's say as well, perhaps. So to do this, let's go ahead and open up the code again. I'm just going to get rid of that. So we'll go ahead and open up the code. And here we'll take a look through the different files. So within our project, we've got our server, which is just a very basic Express server that adds in our Apollo server as well, and serves that as the GraphQL endpoint with the playground. Outside of the server, we've got a lib folder as well, which has our Elastic functionality and our GraphQL functionality. So let's go ahead and check out GraphQL first. So we'll go ahead to the GraphQL types. And here we've got all the types that we can edit and extend for the different queries that we have. So at the bottom here, you can see we've got our product variance query, which accepts these parameters with the filter, for example, and returns a product variance connection. Now, because we're adding in another filter just for variant name, we want to go ahead and edit the product variance filter. So let's go ahead and find that. Product variance filter is here. And here you can see we've got our filters that we can add in. Our search term is default, price range, attributes, exclude, and include. And now I want to go ahead and add in one for variant name. So I'm just going to do this underneath the search term. And we'll add variant name here as a string, because we're searching as a string. We can go ahead and save that. Now, if you're using yarn dev or npm run dev, the server will be restarting as we edit the file, so you don't need to worry about restarting that manually. Now we want to add in this functionality to our Elasticsearch. So if we go to lib elastic and then search.js, these are all the functions that are required for building up our search query. You can see we've defined a whole bunch of different field parameters here, just as constants, so we don't have to keep repeating ourselves. We've got how we can order our products and things that can be filtered on, our product IDs, variant IDs, SKUs, that sort of thing. Then we've got a bunch of functions that are used for building up the different queries that we have. There's the filter, which is for finding things such as the price range, or as default, where we just filter out based on computed values for performance. Then we've got our must query. This is for searching on text, such as the search term and the include fields and the variant attributes that we're searching on. Then we've also got our must not query, which is for excludes. And so if we're adding in the search for the variant name, we want to add this to our must query. So we'll find our build must query function here, and we'll just get our variant name as an argument that's being passed through the GraphQL resolver to this function. And here we can go ahead and add in just below our, so this here is our search term search query here. And we want to provide a query that will be appended to our must query array, which will eventually be appended to the whole overall query that would be passed through to Elasticsearch and executed against that. Now I'm just going to add in a comment here saying variant name query. And here we can just go ahead and check if variant name is defined, so that means, hey, we want to search on it. Then we can go ahead and add on to our must query. So we're just going to add on an object to our must query. So we're going to concat with that. And we're going to add an object onto that array. Now with Elasticsearch, you can see here for the search term, we've used a multi-match, which allows us to search for multiple fields. So here, like I said, we're searching on the variant name, SKU, the product name, product path, and the topics for the product as well. For us, for this variant name query, we only want to use a single match. And so to do this, we can go ahead and add in a match phrase query here. And then the field, so the way a match phrase query is defined is we can just define the key that we want to search on. So in this case, it's variant.name. And then we can provide the variant name as the search term here. So now if I save this, and then we go back to our web browser, and then we reload the page, I can then go ahead to the filter here, and I can search for variant name. And here I can provide Kiwi, for example. Search on this. Jokes, Kiwi is the product name. I can go ahead and search for bowtie. Search there, and you can see we've got 2 results. So these 2 results will be the 2 Kevin the Kiwi variants that have the name bowtie. So if I get the product variants here, retrieve the variant and the name, here you can see that we've got our bowtie variant and our large bowtie variant as well. So that was a basic example of how you can extend the Elasticsearch Crystallize example project with your own search parameters as well. You can use this for a whole multitude of things. You can extend this way beyond this if you need much more refined searching. You can add ranges for things like stock or other computed numbers, other text fields, other filtering as you need, and get aggregations as you need them. So there's a lot you can do with Elasticsearch and a lot that can be used in conjunction with Crystallize to provide a really good performant experience for your customer. And there you have it, a really simple way to provide really detailed search results to your customer with Elasticsearch and Crystallize. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel as we're uploading a lot more videos regularly as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.